Hello, people. Welcome back to the Tech of Tomorrow with Sebastian Hidalgo. This is the podcast where we interview innovators and forward thinkers because the real tech of tomorrow is not the technology, but the humans behind that technology. And today, our guest today is the CEO of SpringUp Labs. His name is Santosh Kotnis. He's calling in from India, and we managed to make it work despite the time difference and despite his busy schedule. So, Santosh, thank you so much for being here. And how are you? How is your day?
All right. First of all, Sebastian, it's a pleasure to be with you on this podcast, and I look forward to have this great conversation. And I think you've been doing a good job in recording different personalities, different people with a different perspective. So look forward to have this conversation with you, Sebastian. And I'm doing pretty good in India right now, but yeah, doing pretty good.
Where are you based normally?
And so I keep traveling, but I think I will call our base in India because we have the largest team in India. So
Okay, so you're traveling around for client work, probably?
yes, that's right. A lot of meetings and then conversations with clients, and the part of my job takes me to different part of the globe because we work with North American, European, UK, Middle Eastern clients. So it's as part of the job to meet customers and then have discussions, requirements, and sometimes firefighting with some delivery issues. So for different reasons, I keep traveling.
Great. Well, let's start from the beginning before we talk about the specifics. You are the CEO of SpringUp Labs. How long ago did you create the company, and what what's your vision for it? Where are you taking this company?
Okay, so this is honestly this is my second stint as an entrepreneur. I earlier had one and then exited that, and then started SpringUp Labs to be exactly 3 years back. And when we started SpringUp Labs, the idea was to help our customers build their the technology products in India at a cost advantage to Europe and the US customers, plus also help them bring these products to faster to the market because obviously in this competitive world, when you are building a product, you need to be quick. I mean, you cannot take like say 16 months, 18 months to push out a technology product. And the whole idea with which we started SpringUp was to help the customers to get their products faster, quicker, and cheaper. So that's a vision with which we started SpringUp Labs. And I think I can't ask any better story than this. After 3 years, we are about 70 people, 70 technicians helping our customers across Europe, North America, Middle East, helping there in this product journey, technical journey, and helping them scale. And most as satisfyingly working with some innovative brains across Europe and the US. And it's always pleasure to watch our customers grow, raise money, grow in scale, achieve bigger heights, and then we as a team sitting here, we will always cheer for them in the backgrounds that okay, we were part of the journey, part of their tech journey. So this is what we've been doing since last 3 years or so. Of course, the initial beginning was very slow and steady. Of course, every startup needs steady, slow start in the beginning. But this year, particularly the third year, has been a spectacular growth for us. We started our own German entity with a couple of my old, 1 decade old friends and colleagues, Marcus Deutsch and Thomas Lang, joining us from Germany. They are driving the German initiative. Similarly, we have started our UK initiative through Again, a couple of old colleagues, Mohan and Mike. So this is a fantastic time to be part of SpringUp Labs because whatever work we have done in the last 3 years, we wanted to put that across new prospects, new customers, trying to convince them that how we can possibly help them in their product journey, in their technology journey. And the next journey, I always feel it is spectacular. And we have a very long ambition of perhaps taking this company to the public listing, whether in Europe or in India. That's a long-term vision.
That's great. So you're aiming for being a publicly traded company.
That's right.
You
That's
have
right.
grown also pretty fast. So what is what would you say is the biggest challenge in growing that much in 3 years, especially if you're doing it internationally? Because it's not like you're just building a local company in India. You're pretty much all over the place.
Yes, I think that's a very good question. Every startup would have their own growth trajectory, growth issues, growth challenges. What you rightly put it. So there are fundamentally a couple of challenges, like it's a big headwind, like a current economical scenario across all the geographies, whether it is Europe, UK, or US. So there is a little bit of a turbulence across the businesses, and then that will impact the IT business by and large. And I think that's a big headwind. Second thing is also most importantly in communicating to our future customers that how we will help them in scaling quickly and then help them to reduce their operational cost. I mean, obviously, our future customers ask us that, okay, you are sitting in India, which is across the continent with the time difference. How you are going to help us? Articulating this story, Sebastian, is the biggest challenge for us because offshoring is not new. I mean, I am a byproduct of offshoring by myself. I entire of my career I spent in offshoring, helping customers across continent to help them to build their India development teams. But articulating that, putting in context of when we started, we were at a very small team. A small team sitting in India articulating this, that how we can add value was a bigger problem. But now, especially with say with our German clients, so now we have a local presence through Marcus and Thomas, and then there is a lot of trust being built through a local entity, similarly in UK, similarly in Nordic and US. So that is what we are trying to do. And then my biggest learning, even in the second stint of entrepreneurship, is how to articulate that value to the customer so that they can trust me, trust my team, and trust our deliverables in giving the work to us. That's been a big challenge in addition to the global economical situations where the entire world is going through.
It's interesting you say that because that's one of the, in consulting clients in the tech industry for the last 3 years, one of the main things I've seen and noticed is how most companies from IT to AI, you name it, as long as it's in tech, most companies struggle articulating that value proposition. And once you
Mm,
fix that, I've noticed that the chances for revenue growth are between
mm.
the threefold or fivefold, just
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
customer gets what you do. And the moment they
yeah.
understand that is the moment they start trusting you more. And of course,
Mm,
in Germany, as you have like these two locals driving it is even better because it's familiar to Germans. So, Germans can be sometimes very skeptical of people
mm.
that are proposing them business and they're not from Germany. But yes,
Yeah,
the part of the story and value proposition is usually the most common challenge I've noticed in the industry.
you are right, and I think you also work in consulting industry a lot, and then it's pretty similar with the technology industry as well. It's rather difficult. I mean, it's like what value you bring in. I mean, I think articulating that is sometimes is a little pain.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's a matter of understanding what is your competitive advantage? Like, what do you bring to the table? In your case, you named it. You are faster, you are cheaper, and you're more
Mm,
reliable. Also, you,
mm,
you have the added value that I think it's an added value that you had an outsourced team.
yeah, yeah.
So that's part
Yeah.
of it. The other part of it, though, is understanding what competitors do and what they are not delivering that you are. And the last part is what I was talking last week with the founder of an AI company, and he tells me, how do we compete with Accenture and PwC? I go like, you don't.
Mm,
I don't compete with
yeah,
them
yeah.
because the type of people that will buy from those massive consulting companies are not the type of
Mm,
people that will buy from you. There's a lot of politics
mm,
involved in hiring such a big consulting company. There's a lot of
yeah,
responsibility shifting. Meanwhile, companies like SpringUp Lab or like this guy's company are companies that are actually there to deliver real value. It's the
yeah,
same thing
yeah,
I tell my clients when they tell me, why shouldn't we hire like BCG? I like, well, first of all, do you have the budget to hire BCG? Second
yeah.
of all, do you want to get real value or do you just want to get a PDF report at the end of this? Because if you want a report, I'm not the one for you. If you want a transformation, probably I am. It's the same thing with IT consultants. You want something real, that's custom, that's driving the business proposition forward on the tech side. Sometimes it's better to just scale down the fantasy of working with this massive company and bringing in a team that actually delivers results and is committed to delivering that fast. What do you think?
Sure, 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 sure. I think you are summarizing it in a nice way. What I really like about your statement now is the kind of companies who can buy from BCG are not necessarily my target customer because the purchase process with them is completely different, which is extremely painful for companies, smaller companies like us. And then what we prefer is set of smaller, medium, and small companies who can make quicker decisions, who would like to see faster results. And I think that is the kind of a customer segment even we want to engage with right now. Or our customer portfolio is of that customer. We are very comfortable with because the decisions are faster. You can talk to the decision maker faster, and given the size what we are into, I think as you rightly said, it's something the kind of companies where in the small and medium enterprise is what we are targeting. And then another important thing I'd like to also say, the larger companies would need a um, transformative programs, which needs a deeper domain knowledge, deeper consulting knowledge, deeper technology knowledge. And I think because of the size and because of the initial phase of what we are, we perhaps lack that. I mean, in my previous company, I have done that, what we call value chain delivery, the entire mobile value chain, mobility value chain, entire customer relationship management value chain. So we have driven that, where we have driven programs which were more of an outcome based. We get paid based on the outcome, based on the increase in the revenue, and those kind of programs I have done personally. But the size of the company where we are into, as you rightly said, perhaps we will have to wait until few years before we get into that consultative IT enabled projects.
Also, you have plenty of value to deliver right now to the SME market. They need fast transformations. That's the thing.
Yes.
You hire also like a big player. Like
Mm,
I think that the main advantage that I've seen for companies your size is the speed.
mm,
Because yes, some clients
mm,
will say, yeah, we want to work with the big name. Yes, but the big name
mm,
will take 9 months to deliver a result. It will take maybe 18 months to deliver a result. Do you have 18 months? Like the market
mm,
changes so
mm,
fast that the people that actually need you cannot afford to spend 12 months or even
mm,
9 months
mm.
to just get start seeing results of a collaboration.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me ask you a question here, because you are making an interesting point here, Sebastian. So while we say that these kind of an SME segment would be our sweet spot in terms of customers, and they need a digital transformation pretty quick, but my experience, or at least my conversations with such customers, they tend to feel, or at least they tend to follow certain large scale players in their domain. Like say, if I'm a small bank, I would look up to a largest bank in my sector in my country before I implement any technology transformation change. How you necessarily deal with such questions or such mindsets where there is a massive need for them to do a digital transformation right now because if they don't do that, somebody will acquire their customers. But on the other side, these SME companies are looking up for their largest player in their domain to go and implement the digital transformation or management transformation changes and wait for their output and then try to implement a few changes for them, which might take, I think, a couple of years before they actually start doing something. So question is that have you come across this kind of dilemmas across middle and small industries? And then if yes, second question is how you, as a consultant, as a management guru, how you approach to such problems.
Damn, that's interesting. Now we flip the script on the podcast. I have come across first. The easy answer is yes. I have come across that, so that's the first one to answer. The second is how do you fix that? You know, in some cases you don't. Meaning nobody, not everybody is going to become a client, and at first
Mm,
accepting that gives you that peace of mind to just walk
mm,
into a meeting, tell them what reality is, set the
mm,
expectations, and see if they respond to that. The other thing is that despite the fact that not everybody will be your client, some
mm,
clients have objections. It's not because they're assholes, it's because some things they really believe in. For example,
mm,
most companies will believe, hey, all we need to do is just look at these big competitors and start copying them. But it's safe because
mm.
we copy them once it works for them.
Uh,
And that's a logical fallacy. I,
mm,
I was just writing about that yesterday. I called that benchmark slavery because you turn benchmark analysis into
mm,
actually something that enslaves you to copying your competitors.
mm,
The issue
mm,
is there's two issues with that. If you copy what they're doing now, that it's working, it might not work for you because they've been
mm,
longer in the market, because they have a strategy that allows them to
mm,
deploy those kind of initiatives or approaches. So
mm,
you don't know on the back end why what's working for them is working. So if you try to
mm,
copy it and it doesn't work, then you go, why is this not working for me? It's because
mm.
as you know, in the work you and I do, things tend to be very tailor-made and customized. It's
Yeah.
because what works for others is not meant it's not, you cannot install the same software on all machines and expect it to work properly. It's why, for example, I've taken it to software and to B2C things. It's why Apple
Mm,
software works so well, because it has to work on less devices, so it's less buggy.
mm, mm,
Same
mm,
with
mm,
strategies and with IT. It needs to be tailored to each company. Otherwise, you install something that doesn't belong there and you start having
mm,
issues. Now, the second part of this reasoning is yes, they could wait. And in some cases, the wait will be successful, meaning maybe what the big competitor deploys
mm, mm,
will work for them, but it will work for them now. In 3 years,
mm,
it will work for the big competitor. And as you said, they will take up the market share. They will take more customers
mm,
that could have been your
mm,
customers, but you lost
mm.
them because you were waiting. And one thing you and I seem to be both a fan of is speed. And I do believe that
Yes.
in business,
Mm,
speed is everything.
mm.
The market moves so
Yeah.
fast. ChatGPT came out, I think, 3 years ago now, and it disrupted the entire, not the entire industry, every damn industry out there was turned on
Mm.
its feet by AI.
Mm.
And that's the proof that if you don't react fast, you're gonna be left behind. So the moment your clients say, "Hey, this big bank will do this, and in 3 years we will
Mm.
implement it too," it's
Mm.
like, do you have 3 years to wait though? Because by the time they implement it, they have the
Mm.
budget and the manpower to make sure that even if you implement it, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
So when
Mm.
it comes to big
Mm.
competitors, smaller SMEs have to play to their strengths. And the biggest
Mm.
strength people have in an SME is speed and agility. And
True.
that's my
True.
take. If you wait for the
True.
big competitor to do it, it's too late. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know if you are into investing, like, but it's like when you hear of a big trend, like everybody say,
Mm.
yeah, you have to invest in Nvidia.
Yeah,
Not exactly. Maybe you had to invest in Nvidia 10 years ago, so you could be a millionaire
correct,
now. Investing in
correct.
Nvidia now may be a little bit more risky. So that's my thought.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good point. That's a good take.
What's
Great.
you have a team of 70 people and you
Yes.
travel around a lot. What's your leadership style? How do you see the role of a leader in a tech company? And how do you manage a culture that's basically so distributed?
Okay. So first of all, I strongly believe uh, the leadership, whatever level, and especially at smaller company like us, we should be at 90% execution and 10% strategy, because the smaller the company, we need to put a lot of muscle behind the execution. And from a leadership style perspective, I'm more of a participative kind of a leader, where I would like to hire people, hire good people in the sense in those roles, and then try to empower those roles or those responsibilities, and then allow them to drive whether it is plus or minus, whether it is success or failure. If failure happens, then I think I will have to sit with him or her and coach him or her that what exactly went wrong. And then if it is successful, and in that case, let the entire team take the success pride, or being successful. So this has been working for me. I've been working in this style, at least in the CX role, since last 7, 8, 10 years, and it has worked me successfully so far. And I'm being blessed with a right set of people, at right spot at right time, who have taken responsibility, who have grown businesses. And having said that, I will be extremely careful in say that it's not that I have made all 100% successful or 100% correct decisions. Our strategy has gone wrong sometimes. Our customer retention strategy has gone wrong sometimes. Our or my hiring has gone wrong certain times. But nevertheless, I will not. I will not punish myself with all the failures, whatever we have done collectively. And my whole principle of life has been that don't take too much of attention, don't take too much of a burden on your head, because there is some certain things which are beyond my and your control. By end of the day, what all we can ensure is that put your right foot, and certain things will go wrong. And I think I never beat myself for all the failures what I have done as a leader, as well as in my career earlier part of my career as well. So that has helped me quite good. And then, as I said, I'm blessed to have all these people helping me in different part of my career in current SpringUp as well. Blessed with my management team, who are taking care a lot of load from me. And then again, blessed to have business partners, say in Germany, Marcus and Thomas, and then an UK team as well, who take much of a load out of me in selling in those geographies. So that's what I believe. More participative, more encouraging, be there in the sidelines, be at the backside, let the team take the center stage, and let them drive the show by themselves. If there is anything needed, a course correction needed, if I can spot the course correction needed, then I'll go and then share my views that okay, this is where the course correction is needed. And then if not, then be a spectator and cheer for them.
Agree. And you know, mistakes happen. Like
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because 4 years ago, I had a COO come to
Mm,
me, and it was at a random event. It was like 11 p.m. And
mm,
he came to me and he started talking, and he was like, sometimes it's lonely to be a leader. Like, I don't have nobody to talk
mm,
to, and the pressure and the board, and you can't talk to the board, and sometimes the other people in the managing team don't understand because they weren't a founding team. They were a team that was Deus ex machina in by the board. So they
mm,
didn't quite know each other.
mm,
And I started thinking 3 years ago, damn, there is so much pressure on leaders to be perfect. And there is this
mm,
expectation, even that we
mm.
put on ourselves, that we need to have it all figured out.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, we don't. Making mistakes is part of the process. And I
yeah,
see mistakes in business as, okay, we learned. We move in
yeah,
fast. Because if you
yeah,
start dwelling on that,
yeah.
you're just gonna take away focus from what actually could change the situation or improve the situation. So that's how I see it. And regarding the culture, it's interesting. What do you think is the biggest challenge of the hiring market right now?
Um, the important thing actually of hiring market, as I said earlier, this world is in an extremely delicate phase, I should say, or an important stage of the overall thing, where every industry is, or every country, to so to speak, is going through a one or the certain other changes, certain impacts from geopolitical environments and all. So, in my opinion, the hiring trend right now is soft. I will not say it is zero, but it's very soft, and I'm sure there is end for all the bad things, and I expect this geopolitical situation or economical situation will improve, and then especially the larger economies in the world should do good, should start do good, and then I think that's where the business flow will happen. That's where the consulting work will happen, and that's where I expect the hiring to pick up. And of course, there are certain spots. For example, Indian economy is growing at near about 7%, which is perhaps, given the size, is highest in the larger economies. But these are like some spots. I mean, the business will grow only when everybody in the ecosystem start growing, whether it is Europe, whether it is North America or South America, as a global, as a world, we need to grow, and that's where the hiring will pick up. But until then, I think do what is good for us. Keep working. Keep finding the new customer. Try articulating to the existing customer that what you can do, and then how I can add value to you, and then keep building business one step at a time. And that's what we believe as a management team, and that's what we are attempting to do sincerely. Because these certain things, geopolitical situation is not something which I and you can control sitting here across Germany and India. I think there are different players. Let them take care of that, and then we can do what we are good at. You say, for example, doing and providing consulting, and then I doing taking care of the technology stuff for our customers. So that's how I would look at it, the current situation.
How, I noticed that we cannot control the global situation, but I do notice the patterns. And there is this shift of balance where I see Europe, and I don't know if you share this perspective, but I see Europe getting tangled more in regulation than they are in pushing forward technology. The US, it could be terrible or amazing, or it could just stay the same. We don't know where that's going, but we know they're pushing pretty hard on innovation. And we see rising countries like India, we see the UAE are becoming a hub for business. We see in Europe, we have like Bulgaria, and there is, I think, is Lithuania that are becoming tech hubs. So the question is, do you think there is a trend that's leaving the West, or is it just more a rebalancing of the world where all regions will start having more of a chance at competing?
Okay, that's a very interesting observation, Sebastian, and is in my opinion, it's a great question. While I tend to agree that, say, for example, India, UAE are growing based on the new way of doing the business or new things happening here, I would not necessarily agree as yet that it's a the rebalancing of the equation from Europe to here. What I would like to believe is that business is a great equilibrium in the sense that business flows where there is a money, there is an advantage, and there is a profit. So right now, India is growing. It makes sense to invest in India, and that's the reason why the business is growing here. But now, what I would like to believe is that great innovation is still happening in Europe. What I would like to believe, say, automotive innovation, what has happened in Germany, and I think that will continue. Engineering, hardcore engineering innovation, what has happened in Germany, I would like to believe that will continue. US is known for certain other things, like, say, being a financial thing, or any other market. The innovation will continue happening there. And then India is at an interesting stage here as well. I mean, we were early more in terms of building the technology. It way back in 2000, it started that we wanted to become a house, or rather house for the global technology development. We are supported by millions of fresh engineers coming into the system every year. And then what I would like to believe is that that's a sweet spot for us. And then some other technologies like EV, electric vehicles could be another thing, or some other manufacturing could be another thing. So India is going to gain in those areas as well. But I think I am not yet ready to believe that things are moving in one direction. I think I would like to believe that it is a rebalancing and business finding the profitability by itself, and then that's a readjustment, in my opinion. But this pattern will continue. We have seen it in the past, right? So there were in history as well. Certain countries were very prominent in those days because they played a very crucial role in how the business followed in those particular countries. Certain countries faded out, and certain countries took prominence, like how the history shaped up. And I think this is more of a rebalancing stuff, in my opinion. And I think it's a pattern. Every country goes through this. Like, say, about 20, 30 years back, India was not in the map. So do Germany a few years back. You were not in the map. The balance was somewhere else, and then now balance is moved to this particular portions. So that's how I would call it, as not necessarily that like, okay, everything will move now and then Europe will get into a darker side. I'm not ready to believe that as yet.
I hope that's true. Sometimes my concern with Europe is holding back innovation. I understand regulation is necessary, especially when it comes to AI, but
Mm,
holding back regulation too much could put the continent at a massive disadvantage, unless, something I heard recently is that the solution perhaps is not turning Europe into an innovator, because culturally, probably, some people believe that culturally, I don't fully agree, but some people believe that culturally, Europe doesn't have a tendency to innovate. So their
mm,
proposal would be rather to have Europe build solutions for Europe that adapt to
mm,
the European way of living and thinking and working. And that's an
mm,
interesting proposition. What do you think?
mm. No, it is. It is. I mean, I think by end of the day, any technology or any solution, to that matter, anything in this world will like build it, and then it fits all size kind of an approach. And I have seen it in many times because Even in Indian context, I can say that what is working for West, it might not work for Indian context because our consuming patterns are different, our consumers are different, our spending power is different, our using power is different, and we would like to use certain things in a certain way. And I think it makes more sense to build it for India or in India, that kind of a thing. It is exactly like how you just explained. Like, okay, let's do innovation for EU and then use it in EU. But I would like to agree to that statement because EU itself is a big market. I mean, you need not to go anywhere. All countries put together, it's a huge market for any company. Let's look at certain companies coming out of Europe. Siemens or Mercedes or Telenor from Norway. These are no more European companies. They are like global companies. They perhaps earn bigger revenue from rest of the world than EU. And I think companies coming out of US and then doing companies coming out of EU and making a big impact all across the world is there are certain players who have done that. For example, SAP. How can I forget?
Mhm.
They are the global player in every manufacturing company in India is adopting SAP. So that's a global power. And I would like to believe in that way, build it here and then build it for the global. Whether it is build it in EU or build it in India, I would like to believe in that story. Build here, build locally, conquer the local market, and expand into the world.
I like it. And that's more or less what you've been doing with SpringUp Labs, from what
That's
it
correct.
sounds like.
That's
That's
correct.
the mindset.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, let's talk about the topic of the day, the week, in the last 3 years. Let's talk about AI. How do you see AI impacting, in particular, your industry and your business?
Okay. I would like to answer this in two segments. One is how it is impacting our customers, and then how it is impacting us. Because we our business gets impacted if my customer's business gets impacted. So AI is a great enabler, in my opinion. This is transforming practically every business what we are operating into. Some domains or some businesses have adopted to that, and then some are in the process of adopting that. Like say, be like BFSI or healthcare or manufacturing, they are adopting it much faster than the rest of the domain. But everybody is adopting. So it is a massive advantage what I see for our customers, because the data driven intelligence, we were managing that in a completely different way. Like we were using data so far in a reactive way, and then AI is teaching us that how you can build more of a proactive way, how you can decrease the productivity, how you can increase your scalability, how you can improve predictability of your operation. Just imagine I'm running a large manufacturing plant here in India, and then AI tells me that this machine, which you are depending heavily on, it might go for repair or go for maintenance in next 3 hours or so. It's a bliss for me where I can find a replacement for that and then continue my production line. So there's a massive operational help what our customers are getting. So do in the R&D, in say pharma or in the medical science. There's a lot of AI being adopted. I don't want to believe that AI is all about ChatGPT, because that's one use case of AI, but the massive benefit or a massive advantage of AI is being currently being unearthed or currently being explored. So that's how our customers are being impacted. Of course, as I said in the beginning, we are not working with the large customers in the industry, but even the smaller, medium and small companies where we are operating with as our customers, they are also thinking of AI, how they are getting benefited by AI. They are in that process. In some cases, we are helping a couple of customers in UK. This is a VC firm, actually, very interesting case study. We are the AI engine or AI bot is giving a recommendation to this VC firm whether you should invest or not in this particular company. I mean, there are some parameters. They will churn all those parameters, study the balance sheet provided for last 3 years or so, compare with the industry, compare with the similar size companies, and then what is the growth, what is the offerings, and those kind of things. But it's a recommendation, so to speak. From SpringUp side, which is a very particular use case, AI, I really don't want to believe that AI will remove all the jobs on this planet. I think it's not necessarily true, in my opinion. But it has certainly improved our productivity, because our developers, for example, or our cloud guys or a DevOps guys, they would get a lot of helping hand from AI, that what to do, how to code, and how to build a faster code. Those kind of very small things here and there that has increased our productivity. I mean, I cannot really put a number on that, how much productivity you have gained by using uh, these AI tools, but I would like to believe anywhere between 10 to 15% productivity gain has happened with a smaller company like us. So there's like two-way how I look at it, AI, but I would like to see AI as an advantage, as a business opportunity for us, where we will help these customers, like how we help this VC firm. Would like to build different AI platforms for our customers, and then try to utilize AI as a technology for our benefit and build something meaningful.
I like that. And I like how you mentioned that a VC firm is using AI to help decision making. So this made me want to ask you, how do you see AI impacting the role of CEOs and leaders in general in the next years? What will
Yeah,
change?
yeah, yeah. I see a huge benefit a CEO or a leader would get, because if I can dissect any leader's time or responsibility, typically a CEO needs to do or needs to make decisions, and typically it is data-driven decisions sometimes, or a combination of gut and data. So more accurate the data is, uh, my decisions tend to be more accurate, or a CEO's decision tend to be more accurate. And I think AI can help the leaders to get the accurate data, perhaps the trends, and perhaps the inputs, like should I do this or don't do this? Those kind of a yes or no answers may not be answers, but recommendation, right? So these kind of recommendations would play a huge role in the decision making of any leader, in my opinion. So it's a huge benefit how AI would use can be used by CEOs. But I would like to also warn that AI is as good as the data it consumes. So the CEO has to be extremely careful with which he or she trains this AI chatbot with the good data, with the correct set of data points. I think I can certainly feel that CEOs can use AI as a more of an enabler to make accurate decisions.
Agree. Also, there's always that balance to strike. Some CEOs are
Correct.
business people, some CEOs are
Yeah.
just working, but I think there's always, to the role and to any leadership role, there's always a degree of, how do you call it? I wouldn't say, I would say instinct, right? Some decisions
Mm.
are not always the ones that data tells, but somehow they tend to be the right decisions. And a good
Mm,
example of this is like how Richard Branson talks about his own decision making process. So I think
mm,
I think AI will enable CEOs to learn how to balance what
mm,
their instinct tells them and their experience tells them with what the data is telling
mm.
them. And sometimes
Yeah.
in the overlap between those two things, you should have space for great decisions. Of course, if the data is bad quality, you have space for terrible decisions too. But I think there is space for maximizing a lot of decision making potential right there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Agree. Agree. Agree.
Listen, we are going towards the end of the show. I have one last thing to ask you. Maybe it's the last thing, let's see. But what would you say is a controversial opinion you have about technology, the industry, that not many would agree with, but you still think is true? Maybe it is something your competitors do. Maybe it is something that you have noticed. What is it?
Very tough question. Uh, um, so one thing, what I feel is a little controversial, or especially in the technology field. Um, we tend to absorb or adopt any technology as if it's going to change the world. I mean, it happened with AR, VR, it happened with blockchain earlier with, say, with ERP and all. I think even I am party to that. I have made those mistakes as well. But I think what I would, if at all I could change anything, is that as an industry, I think we need to mature a bit and then look at each technology or each wave, change wave, with more accurate lens rather than hyper lenses. Okay, it's going to change me. And rather, for example, a controversial decision right now we are talking about is AI. An unpopular opinion across the media or across the business leaders is that AI is going to take away everybody's job, and those kind of sentiments generally. But I think I would like to take a very balanced view on that. Okay, AI as a technology is helping us in becoming better decision maker, better productivity, get a better quality, and then help to that matter the entire human mankind. But let's not take the discussion into an extreme end where the entire job market will collapse by introducing AI. In this context, I would like to say that we as an industry should take these new waves, new trends as a very balanced view rather than taking that the AI will come and then destroy everything, or AI will come or take over everybody's job, those kind of a sentiment. So that's how I know. I don't know how much I can change, how much media report I can change, but this is, if I can say so, a small wish sitting this part of the world.
I love it, and I agree. There is I've studied PR quite a lot too. I love
Hmm.
public relations and communication in general, and everything has to do with psychology. And I've noticed that there is a massive amount of money getting thrown at building narratives for AI. The goal of these
Hmm.
narratives is mostly that it's sensationalistic. So when
Hmm.
you create sensation, you draw more attention and you draw more investment, which is
Yeah.
why Sam Altman is walking around with that kill switch on his backpack, apparently, saying
Hmm.
that is the AI
Hmm.
kill switch. It's mostly
Hmm.
marketing for people listening. AI, I don't
Uh-huh.
think AI is going to destroy the world, but as you said, I think AI is a great tool for productivity. And I think for companies like yours and mine, AI is the competitive advantage because those that are bigger than us are slower. And we can
Yeah.
use AI to augment ourselves.
Right.
It cannot replace our expertise, but it can do the tasks that don't allow us to focus on the expertise. So that's how I say it.
True. 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 Completely agree. Completely agree.
Perfect. Listen, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining the Tech of Tomorrow podcast. Do you have any last words? Where can people find you? What is your website? Where can they learn more about SpringUp Labs? If somebody's interested in working with you, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. If I can reach out to say my future customers, if anybody is interested in working with us in helping you in your technology journey, because I know that you want to build pretty quicker and at a lower cost the platforms, and then you might need certain help in helping you to improve your profitability. If you, even if you are working today with a full scale team, but you may need to improve your profitability. So you can reach out to me in my LinkedIn, Santosh Kotnis, SpringUp, and then you can go to SpringUp Labs from there. Happy to talk to any one of your connections, Sebastian, who would like to explore for a common chat. And wanted to thank you for all this effort you have taken in recording this podcast. And thanks for all these fantastic questions, thought-provoking, fantastic questions. And this has been a great last 45 minutes, 50 minutes or so. I mean, would love to continue chatting with you, Sebastian, beyond this point. Thanks a lot for having me.
The sentiment is mutual. I really love this. I love your energy. People, this was the Tech of Tomorrow podcast by Sebastian Hidalgo. My guest today, Santosh Kotnis. Reach out to him. You know how he helps. You know he's fast and you know his quality. See you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. This episode will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and just in any platform where you can listen to a podcast or watch it. I will include Santosh links in the description of the show. So thank you for listening, Santosh. Again, thanks for being here. And to the public, to the audience, especially for those who made us rank number 14 in business for one country. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time.